welcome to Becoming the Wild Mother podcast. This is Birdie. I'm a single mom who unschools, travels the world, and has had a homestead for over a year. I've lived off grid, I've done van life, and I have a master's degree in child development and really have a passion for education and alternative motherhood. This is the spot for intentional, intuitive motherhood. Now, I tell everyone because there's this misconception that I am the wild mother because I've done a free birth, because I travel, because I homeschool and homestead, but that is not what wild mothering is about. Wild mothering is about being in touch with your inner wild woman, being in flow with your authentic self, having your boundaries, knowing your values, and living in alignment with those. So my life, my inner wild woman, my version of wild mothering might not be your version of wild mothering, and that is what's so beautiful about it. I am never an advocate of one lifestyle. If anything, I'm an advocate of figuring out your truth, your lifestyle. I really want to dive into how to become the wild mother. I am literally writing an entire book on this topic right now. It will be out soon. It is my memoir and also a guide on living your most authentic, aligned version of yourself, being able to step away from fear. But I really wanted to create another space that's this free resource to help moms figure out this path in their life. One of the biggest questions I get is, how do I do this? How do I make it work financially? How do I make it work energy-wise? How do I have the patience? How do I have the energy? And these are the questions I get the most because I think when we are so disconnected from our inner energy, from our truth, from our alignment, it can feel nearly impossible to find it. I know the mother that I was like 4 years ago, I couldn't even imagine living the life that I live now. I used to look at single moms and be like, how the heck they do it? And now I am like a thriving single mom. And I used to look at people traveling with kids and be like, how do they do it? And I used to look at people being self-employed and homeschooling and say, how the heck do they do it? And now I do all of these things. And the only reason I was able to do all of these things is because I found my flow, I found my alignment, and I found my truth. And it took a lot of work, a lot of unlearning, a lot of taking apart things that didn't truly fit me, taking off masks, removing people pleasing, and really creating these boundaries around my values. Being able to live in alignment and not giving to all of these things that truly did not serve me, my purpose, and my authenticity. If you don't know my story, I became a single mom about 2.5 years ago, and it was very sudden. It was very drastic. It was like the rug was pulled out from under me because I was a stay-at-home mom. I had started building my business. I made a little bit of money here and there. I had about 30,000 followers on TikTok, and I had just started getting blogging and I was learning all these skills, but I did not have any money to support myself. Like I did not have a steady income. I did not do everything by myself with the kids. And the truth is I was very codependent in that relationship. So when that relationship ended, it was like, oh my God, I might sink. But I was set on learning to swim, okay? I refused to let myself sink. I refused to let all these changes and this hurt and this loss and this change pull me under. And so I said, I am going to do everything in my power to be the mom and the person and the woman that I truly, truly, truly desire to be. And I am not going to let divorce, becoming a single mom, losing what I thought was my dream life. We had an off-grid farm that we had just bought and we were building a house. We had built an off-grid cabin. I left myself with no choice but to give up everything that was not serving me. Relationships, screen time. So I stopped watching TV altogether. I didn't watch any TV for like nearly over a year. After I left my marriage, I meditated over an hour every single day. I would put the girls to sleep and I would meditate for an hour. I would try to create content every single day. I would work on my blog almost every single day. I was writing a book for 2 years. Like I told myself, I am going to figure this out. I refuse to let myself drown. And if I fail, if I fall flat on my face, if I mess this up, at least no one will be able to say I didn't try to go for my dreams. And I had to trust fall. And that was probably the scariest thing of my life, because there was times where, like my bank account went negative. The van broke down that we were living in, and we lived in a tent. There was some really, really scary circumstances that I could have never imagined happening. I was scammed 2 different times. I was scammed out of an Airbnb that I paid $3,000 for, and then I was scammed out of a rental house that I put $3,000 on. I had to learn some really painful, really hard lessons about listening to my intuition, learning where I was betraying myself, learning how much wasted energy was going to these things that never served me in the first place. I had to learn to prioritize creation over consumption, creation over reaction. And I had to learn how programmed I was to have certain reactions, to have certain habits around consumption, because that is just how we are raised. And it gives us this comfort when we have this familiarity with something. We're able to just zone out and dull our true selves. And honestly, when you're going through a hard time, that feels so much better to dull those authentic pieces of you than it is to face the truth. And I had to sit with it. I had to sit with it and sit with it and sit with it over and over and over again. I don't even know how many times I cried. And it's wild because before these last 2 years, I rarely cried. Like, I was not a crier, but all of a sudden, like the 5 years of not allowing myself to feel anything, not allowing myself to hear and see the truth of my situation, not allowing myself to feel the pain that was actually occurring, because not only was my partner gaslighting me, I was gaslighting me. And that's the thing. You can't be in situations like that without giving your permission, without giving yourself. And I had lost myself. I had lost myself for a very long time. And leaving was the first time I had reclaimed myself. Now, there's way more to it, of course. It's always much more complicated than just like I left. That story is for another time. But it was all about these lessons on my truth and my authenticity and really coming home to myself, really learning that I am my own stability. I am my own home. I am my own truth. Nothing outside of me can ever give me that stability. Nothing outside of me can ever give me my truth. It is me. It is me, and it is my love and my connection. And now I am a very big believer in God and universe and things having meaning. I think everything has meaning, but we all have to find that truth within ourselves. And that is what I mean by it is never outside of you. Your truth, whatever it is for your religion or spirituality, it is only within you. Your truth is only within you. So becoming the wild mother was never about my free birth or homeschooling, unschooling, or about homesteading, living off grid, any of these things, traveling the world. It was never about any of these things. Wild mothering was about finding my true self, finding my flow, finding my alignment, and this idea of living from a place of creation rather than consumption. I love you guys. Go check out the full podcast. Bye.